Hello everyone and welcome back to FTB Skies 2. Last episode we dove into some ore tech here and also got our power setup started with the energizing orb, and then off camera I went ahead and built 4 more reactors and set them all up with entangled blocks. Now originally we had redstone, coal, and uranite, no issue. However, we hadn't set up the full automation for dry ice, but as you see here we have 53,000, so I'll go show you that in a second. However, one note I will make is thanks to the lovely people in the Feed the Beast Discord. The link's in the description, by the way, if you would like to join it for yourself. You can add a bucket of liquid course or any coolant for that matter, and it doesn't get consumed because you're using solid coolant. Like, it just simply doesn't get consumed, but it does give you the temperature bonus. So we were generating like 120 to 140,000 FE per tick. Now we're generating 315,000 FE per tick. So this setup here is making us 1.5 million FE per tick, and that's not even the best coolant, right? Like, the dry ices, but the liquid coolant can be a lot better. And we're generating 1.5 million. Now, don't get me wrong, fission and fusion can generate tens of millions just in a single reactor. 200 million, I think, is the cap for the fusion reactor. So, I don't know. Yes, I could build 1,000 nitro reactors and get the same amount you would from like a fusion, but like, you know, it's good enough for now, and hopefully it will be good enough for our particle accelerator down the line, but that's not what we're doing today. We're not doing any tech for that matter. Well, maybe, who knows? And also, these mage lights, by the way, are just to signify that I have an elevator here, because I would get lost. So if we come back up to the main island here, you'll see I did a lot of cleanup actually. I covered up the pond entirely and kind of just filled in the dirt where the amethyst geodes were popping out of the ground. Like, there's some geodes left on the wall and all that, but I think it just looks nicer and also just gives us room to actually do anything with this space. Most likely applied energistics will be in this middle island for what it's worth. However, I set this up just to show someone in, once again, the Feed the Beast Discord. I set this up to show them the setup functioning, and then I can just left it running. So we have 34,000 skulk. Don't really have a use for that, but we have it, so that's cool. Nevertheless, just down here, I didn't really have a spot to put this, but this is our ice factory. And let me tell you, it's working overtime. All of these guys are, there's, I don't remember how many jars are down here, but there's a decent amount. Nevertheless, all of them are being pumped into its individual framed controller access point. Then that is being pushed here to be pushed up into this compacting drawer and then sent out, or pulled and sent out through this modular router to this guy, which energizes it and makes dried ice. Very simple. But yeah, we've collected 53,000 more than we will ever need, even if we made 5 million reactors. I'm going to be honest, you're never going to go through 53,000 dry ice. If you have a keen eye, you might have seen on the minimap, I did one more thing, and that was building a new island. It's really unique in the sense that it's not like the floor patterns we've done before, nor is it in the color scheme we've done before. I can't give you a good reason for that, other than the fact that I was looking at my skin and I said, what if I made an island that looked like Thanos? So that's what I did. I used some gold ender blocks, or sorry, I used some gold and then a bunch of blocks from the end, which are purple and endstone, and then a bit of malum blocks as well. But if you see in there's a little dire clicker, and there's also a barrel here. This is going to be our mob farm, and this guy has an omega tier stack upgrade, which is just 5 or 9 tier 5 stack upgrades, which is just a bunch of netherite, diamonds, gold, yada yada. So if I come in here, this here's false weave, so we can just slide right through. All of these pillars here on the edge are false weave, as you see if I hit them. This is an advanced clicker with a sharpness 6, looting 4, scavenger 2 sword. It's not the best enchants we could get, but there's a reason for that, and well, we don't have Apotheosis set up. So this is going to be our mob farm, and we're going to be farming a lot of different mobs. So we have an item collector here. If I show the area, you'll be able to see it covers this entire area. Plenty of stuff to be picked up. Storage controller right here is linked down to that barrel. And then yes, this guy is set to left click to target all living, just in case something spawns that's not a hostile mob. We want to be able to kill it. So it targets all living. Hopefully that works. Nevertheless, this is our mob farm, and I kind of like it. I was doing framed blocks for this bridge because I ended up building this the same size as this island, so it's 33 blocks wide, without realizing that they wouldn't connect to each other at 33 blocks wide because I, can't do math apparently, and I should have built a giant island of this size to fit in that area, but I digress. I just built a small little bridge with framed blocks. I think it looks kind of unique. It's kind of fun. So I ended up using framed blocks just randomly sporadically through this thing, and it looks nice. I don't hate it. But yeah, this is Thanos Island, and we're going to be crushing mobs. Think of me like snapping. working. I'm going to be snapping all the mobs away. This is my island. Okay, enough with the corniness. Time to set up a mob farm. So very basically, like I said, the advanced clicker is going to be clicking this entire area, and so is the item collector. However, for mob spawns, we have two different things we're going to do. If you remember, I bought a lot of dreadful dirt from a wandering trader. So what we're going to do, oh, this was a mistake. Well, it's working for what it's worth. I need an ender inhibitor in here as well. Okay, I have to be careful with this sword around the base, by the way, because when we have our magical swords flying around, I ended up killing all of my amethyst golems. I killed them all, and I had to place them all back down. It was very sad. It was a very sad day, but this should be working immediately, except the fact that it's going to turn daytime and then no mobs are going to spawn. We're just going to do netherrack on the roof for now. There we go. So that's the basic concept. Mobs are going to spawn and they're going to die. Very simple. Nothing too complicated. However, this takes a while to kill. This doesn't kill the mobs very fast, and well, we can get some better mobs as well, because this is just going to roll the loot table of mobs that can spawn in a plains biome. That's not all we want. There's some special mobs I went ahead and collected. Get rid of the frame blocks for now. So quite literally, just right over there is a lush caves biome, which gave us a dripstone creeper, a cave creeper, which is what I was actually after, but we also took the dripstone because why not? We went over to a beach biome to get a beach creeper spawn egg. They drop sand, prismarine, and nautilus shells. The seagrass we don't really care about, but the sand, prismarine, and nautilus shells are really cool to have. We're going to farm ancient knights, which drop netherite scrap. We're going to farm cave endermen, which drop coal, ender pearls, and emeralds. Wither skeletons, yeah, that's pretty obvious. Witches just drop redstone. The watcher here drops redstone and iron ingots. And I think there was one more we were going to farm. Oh, the cave creeper, right. This drops diamonds and emeralds. We don't really need any of that, and the stone's kind of useful too. We don't realistically need half of these resources, but what we do want are apotheosis stuff. That's why we're making a mob farm. Okay, maybe we don't do slimes. This is going to be an issue. Yeah. Oh, you know why? It's because there's dreadful dirt right here. I think that was the issue. No, it's definitely not. There's just spawning slimes. Okay, we might have to get rid of this idea entirely and just do spawners and just not do slimes. But you see, we are farming apotheosis gear. So both the gems, like this fogless lightness gem, as well as many different loot tables, which is really cool. But yeah, we're probably going to have to get rid of this immediately, unfortunately, because yeah, the slimes are going to be everywhere. Okay, well, do away with the dreadful dirt. It was a fun experiment. So here I have a bunch of spawners and a bunch of mob swabs to use on chickens, which is very useful. However, we do need a bunch of cognitum buckets. Now, I should have a wither skeleton spawner that's like souped up that I made. It's definitely not this one. Okay, well, we're going to make this one a chicken spawner for what it's worth. And that means I'm just going to need one more spawner. I believe this does redstone. Yeah, okay, perfect. All right, I'll let that spawn, and I'm going to grab another spawner from a dungeon of sorts. Probably just pop into the nether. Oh, wait, I have a wilden stalker spawner in my thing. Well, that's useful. Okay, so all of these chickens are going to need chicken feed. Like so. Okay, so slime we're not going to do, unfortunately, so I don't actually care about that, but the dripstone creeper, the witch, the cave creeper, and beach creeper. There was also an enderman, was there not? Oh, cave enderman right here. Okay, yes. So enderman, creeper, witch, dripstone creeper, ancient knight we already have. We have the watcher, and we have the wither skeleton. I guess we could do a wilden stalker too. Probably not though. Seems unnecessary. So if I grab comparators and redstone, all of these guys, yeah, that's the souped up one I already made. Nice. So we have all of our spawners here. They're all redstone controlled. Now all we have to do is max them all out. You know what? I probably got a bunch of spider eyes from doing this, did I not? Yes. Okay. Well, not a bunch, but a decent amount. All right, that should be them all done. I think they're all the same. Yes, they are. Awesome. So the way we're going to do this is with redstone links from create. These guys are super useful. They can do wireless redstone, and we'll do gold blocks. Ooh, you know what? Framed leather, because we can. Now, what's really fun about this is we have room in here now for infinite amount. I should turn this off for a second. Okay, I'm just going to target hostile. It should be fine. So that should be plenty of enough room for all of these mobs, which is perfect. We'll get rid of this netherite roof. It's ugly. And if we just make an ender inhibitor real quick, I don't think the enderman should be able to TP, but just in case they are, we have one. And yeah, that should be perfectly fine. I just got to put a floor in here now. All right, something like that works. Now, if we come over here to all of our spawners, we'll start from the top middle one and do something like that. Set them all to gold, double gold like so. Then shift right click to make them receivers. And if we do a main switch, say right on, you know what, we're gonna be walking in. So we'll do, how do I want to do this? You know what, I think I'm gonna hide it. Yeah, we'll hide it in here. I was gonna frame the lever, but there's really no point. I mean, we still can just for fun, but there we go. And all the mobs activate immediately. I do need to set this back to hostiles, left click. Okay, perfect. For some reason, they're not being counted as hostiles. Okay. The cave endermen are not being targeted as hostiles. Let me turn off my particles real quick. That's bizarre. You'd figure they'd be counted as hostiles. I mean, they're getting entity crammed right now. That's so weird. I just don't know why they're not being targeted. Yeah, they're being targeted now? No, it doesn't look like it. It looks like they're just dying to witches. It is very weird, I will say. Yeah, we're probably going to have to do like a fan mob masher type beat. Well, that's not what I was planning on doing, I'm going to be honest. Quite annoying, actually, because I want it all to be seamless. But I guess we could do these guys, the entity conveyors, and we'll just go manually kill these guys, like so. And we'll just get rid of our fun little floor design we had. So the same premise can still work, by all means. We'll just be double killing them, pretty much. And that's ignored redstone, good. So if I slap down a redstone block, like that, and do the old classic mob masher, like so, and then all we really need is looting, to be honest. Guess I could do a bit of sharpness ones, for what it's worth. And now if we go ahead and turn it on. Okay, the endermen are being pushed out for some reason. Are one of the vector plates going the wrong direction? Because why are these guys getting pushed out, by the way? They're all being pushed out. Oh, is it the false weave? Oh, maybe we can't do false weave there. Okay, fun fact. False weave's a bad idea. Let's turn it off. Oh my god, there's so many down there. Oh my god. They all really like the cave, don't they? Okay, I decided to replace the enderman with blaze. I don't really know if I have a use for the cave endermen themselves, so I said why not just go with blazes. I think it's fine, to be honest. Yeah, they're not popping out. The endermen for some reason like to fall through this false weave, and yeah, sure, I could just get rid of the false weave and it would solve my issues entirely, but you know, I like the look of this. Also, we're gonna have to start sorting this, so I'm gonna have to turn off our mob farm for now. Yeah, it is very bizarre that the clicker isn't killing them. Is my witch spawner correct? Yeah, they have no AI, but for some reason they're using healing potions. Oh, you know why? It's because they're spawning, they're the backpack spawns. They're the Apotheosis ones. Okay, we might have to get rid of witches too then, by that logic. Yeah, I mean, there's a chance, right? Just because if the witches are gonna spawn and they're gonna clog up the machine, potentially. That sucks. Do you have any other things? Magma cubes? No, those will pop out. The warden will work. A stray, yes. I don't really need strays though. We'll leave it for now. If it becomes a problem, we'll take them out. Now, the first thing we actually have to go ahead and do before we can turn our mob farm back on is actually figure out the sorting system for all this thing. Now, a lot of it can stay in this netherite barrel. That's why we have the Omega upgrade. So all of the stackable loot is fine to stay here for eternity. We're never going to fill that up. However, when it comes to, say, these flame burges here, we're going to want to void them. Very simple. When it comes to these scrolls, we're going to want to void the scrolls. Same with these crowns. All of this going to be void. We have no use for it. The gems are going to go into our system. We're going to keep the gems because those we can combine into higher levels. So if I combine, say, these two Splendor gems, I can now make a higher tier Splendor gem, which will be the legendary one. So, or godforged, mythic, right? So each tier of Apotheosis has a specific tier. So there's common, uncommon, rare, epic, mythic, and then perfect. You can always just look at whatever gem there is, and each one has a different tier. So for example, the Brawler's gem, if we're going to put this in our weapon, at common level, it'll give us 10 attack speed, but at perfect level, it'll give us 50 attack speed. So you see the reason you want to upgrade your gems. So our goal is to farm as many gems as possible so we can combine them all into perfects. And you need 2 of each gem to make the next tier. So we need 2 flawless Brawler's gems to make 1 perfect one, right? And then backwards math. So you need 2 to make that, you need 4 to make this, you need 6, 8, 12, or 6, 8, 16, 32, right? So on and so forth. Now, I will say, none of this is lootable if you don't do the following steps first. Hit Control T on your keyboard. It will bring up this GUI screen here. Now, you will most likely be starting in the Haven tier. This gives you a 60% drop rate of common goods, 36% uncommon, and 4% rare. You will not be able to get epic or mythic gear, or flawless, perfect, or normal gems for that matter, at all from mobs. You just simply won't, because this is the tier you'll be in. So what you have to do is you have to climb to the summit. In our case, the pinnacle. If I open the Chronicle of Shadows, it will explain it slightly bit more as we did progress through this off screen. I did all of this just without technically doing it, because all it requires you to progress is actually wear certain gear. So if we open this, the tiers are Haven, Frontier, Ascent, Summit, and Pinnacle. Yes, this is just the Chronicle of Shadows. Each tier has its own augments, modifiers that are applied to the player tier, as well as the mob spawns in that tier. You can see all the augments, yada yada. Your rarity drop chances, like I said, the gem chances, and the other nodes. That's cool. So if you want to unlock tiers, you have to follow what is shown there. For example, in Haven, I can't pull it up on my screen right here, unfortunately, but all you have to do is wear uncommon helmet, chestplate, leggings, boots, and hold the weapon. I believe that's all the requirements, and it will tell you as you hover over them what the requirements are. But for Haven, to unlock the next tier, you just have to wear uncommon loot, or sorry, common loot. You have a 60% chance to get said loot from killing mobs when you kill just mobs in general. Then, once you wear that, you will unlock the next tier. And then in this tier, you get a higher chance to get uncommon. So, if you're following along, all you have to do is wear uncommon gear and hold the uncommon weapon. Then, you get the rare weapon, rare gear, and I believe at one of these points you have to kill a wither, and then the pinnacle is unlocked by wearing a full set of mythic gear, as well as holding a mythic weapon and killing the end dragon. So our favorite thing, entangle the block, come down here, and we'll do our sorting down here. It's not going to look pretty, so that's why I want to hide it. So first thing we want to go ahead and do is use pipes, but you can use your preferred sorting pipe method as long as you can do filtering. If you can't do filtering, then you simply can't do it this way, but with filters, it's pretty simple. I should have pipe upgrades. I have plenty of them, thank goodness. So we're gonna have items going into a trash can. Very simple. You know what? I'm gonna break this for now so we can set our filter. So things going in the filter are this sword, the quiver, stone swords, random helmets. I should be able to filter all this manually. So Control Shift, arrow key, removes all tags, jump up, and they're all gone. Very, very simple. We'll do the same with scrolls, submit, and all the scrolls are gone too. Now that sorts our trash, but it doesn't sort the Apotheosis stuff. So to do that, we're going to want to jump into Apotheosis. So in this case, the salvaging table will be our best friend. And we need 2 gems. All right, we got the bucket of lava, and we need 2 gem dust. So your first gem dust is obtained by dropping an Apothec gem into the world and making an anvil block fall on it. So if we go into Apotheosis here, we'll take, I don't know, 2 chipped gems because we have a lot of them. And ta-da, we have our first gem dust. So this will be going into our salvage table. If I go ahead and place this thing down, you'll be able to see we can throw gems in it to get gem dust in return, or in our case, a bunch of loot. So this is epic, uncommon, or sorry, epic, rare, and uncommon, which will give us the time-worn fabric, the luminous crystals, and the arcane sands, respectively, as well as some diamonds. So if we click salvage, this will automatically craft, which is great. Now, you might be wondering, well, if I have to click it, how is that going to work? Anything pumped in here automatically gets done. So if you pump it in by pipe, it automatically salvages, which is super useful. So if we slap this guy with another 8 tier upgrade, give it some stack upgrades, and pipe out everything that comes into this guy, like so, and just disconnect that, this will start automatically doing it, as you see. Now we just need some pipe upgrades in the top one there, and it automatically starts salvaging stuff, which is very, very useful. And look, everything here is salvaged. Now it did salvage all of our gems, unfortunately, so what we're going to have to do is come down here, add a gem in. We're going to edit this, once again, Control Shift, right arrow or left arrow, backspace, and then we're going to invert the thing so gems never go in here. That's what we want. We never want gems to go into here. Now, if we turn on our mob farm, oh, I guess we have to throw out bows. We will add stuff to this filter as seen. So yeah, that's the basic setup. That's all you need to do is you stop this from sucking out gems. You have this automatically filter gems, or sorry, you have this automatically salvage everything, and you're pretty much good to go. So if we come here and flip the switch on, you'll see everything starts filling up, stuff is being sucked out, and our gems are staying in here. That's exactly what we want. Now, to be honest, we might want to actually just put our gems inside this barrel, nevertheless. And I think I might do that. Oh, well, first of all, I'll just take this off so it doesn't go anywhere. So if we throw an upgrade in, do this, once again, Control Shift, arrow, backspace, submit, and then this is whitelisted, so all of the gems will also come in here. And then when it comes to random gear, so all of the stuff that, like all the regular loot that gets salvaged, I think I'm just going to pipe it back up top. So a little recursive pipe here, once again, whitelist, and we'll do diamonds, netherite, chain, and leather. Then if we stick that back in here, the only thing that's left in this barrel is Apotheosis stuff. So we have gem dust, our materials, as well as all of our gems. Awesome. This is exactly what we wanted. If we look up perfect, we already have so many perfect gems, so many of them just from doing this. So it's really nice to have, but once again, not guaranteed. Now having a bunch of gems and materials doesn't do much for you if you're not going to use them. So to get started, we're going to want a simple reforging table, which requires more gem dust. So we're going to take out the gem dust we have and make a simple reforging table. But that's pretty bad. So we're going to grab 2 arcane sands, make a reforging table, and that's the better one. We're also going to want ourselves a gem cutting table so we can make our gems perfect. We're also going to want an augmenting table. Now this is new to Apotheosis, at least in 1.21, not something I previously used. And we're also going to want sigils of rebirth so we can actually fuel the reforging table. Once again, that's also new. So if if we, you know what, let's do downstairs, because all of our gems are down here. We're going to make this our little like tinkering room, because above here, we're going to do enchanting setups in all the corners, but down below, we can have a little fun with tinkering. Okay, which is our problem. My FPS started stuttering really badly, and I was really wondering what it was. Having 9 million witches in here is not helping. Yeah, okay, so we're gonna have to remove the witches. I think the wither skeletons will be fine, but the witches definitely aren't. I really don't know why this isn't working as intended, gonna be honest. Yeah, I think they're just healing too much. So we're gonna have to get rid of the witches. That's tough. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna put a stray in there instead. Now, in all fairness, I could make this entire floor mob bashers. It's quite a simple fix, and we might do that so we can bring witches back, just because it is nice to get the witch drops, like the spider eyes, the sugar, the redstone, etc. But realistically, it's not worth the trouble. It's simply not. We don't need the drops. We're only here to farm Apotheosis mobs. No, the ancient knights are kind of clogging it up. You know what? I might just do it. I might just make the entire floor mob bashers. Yeah, why not? I'm still not going to put the witches back because I don't think they die fast enough. But yeah, because the ancient knights are clogging it up. Once again, we don't actually need the ancient knights there either. With our 9 million mob bashers, everything should die. Yeah, everything's dying. Okay, once again, I don't think I'm going to put the witches back in there because they are regenerating so much, but the mobs are dying fast enough that I'm not going to worry at this point. Gem time. You might realize our GUI is very, very small, and I do apologize for that, but it is for good reason. The Apotheosis table, or sorry, the Reforging table here is what we're going to be using. So if we go ahead and take all of our armor off and say, let's throw our helmet in here, what we're going to add is godforged pearls, or whatever ones you want. In this case, you could use arcane sands, luminous, time-worn fabric, or even mysterious scrap metal. But because we have godforged pearls, we're going to use them. So we're going to throw our helmet in. We're going to throw the sigils of rebirth in, because that's how you power it, right? It's the fuel. And we'll throw the forged pearls in. Now, this by itself, it's a good thing. It has 3 armor toughness, and then all of our enchants give it the max mana and mana regen. But that's it. That's all we have. However, with this, our armor becomes 7.75 versus 3. We get 40% knockback resistance. We also get an oxygen bonus and some max health. And then there's some other stats at the top there. You get blindness when attacked, and your magic damage is reduced, and you take durability damage. The top ones we don't really care about unless it is get strength when hit or something of the similar effect. It is the bottom set down here at the very bottom where the armor, toughness, and all that stuff is. That is what we actually care about. Also, the socket count. Right now, there's 1 empty socket on this. That means we can equip 1 perfect gem. If we go over to the next tier, we have 2 empty sockets, we have 11 armor, 42% knockback resistance, and 5.25 armor toughness. So remember, this was 3 armor to begin with. At the second level, we're already getting 11 armor. Here, we get 10.25 armor, so slightly less, but we do get 3 sockets. We have a lot better stats in projectile, magic, and lightning damage reduction, and the 7.25 luck. Now, we're going to take this one. We've successfully reforged our armor. Now, I could throw this back in and keep rolling. And you can do this as much as you want, as long as you have experience levels in godforged pearls and sigils of rebirth. Very simple. You can keep re-rolling for as long as you want. We don't really care about armor or max health, so I'm just looking for high luck, and 7.25 luck is pretty good, so we're going to keep that for now. Once again, we'll take the 3 automatically, and we'll see if we can roll some better luck. 10.25 luck. Right there. Bang. We're going to take the 3, and we need some more reforge already. So if we throw this in here, this gives us some max health. We don't really care about max health. 3.5 luck's not that great. 4.5 luck's not that great. We're going to re-roll again. Okay, well, that's the best we're going to get, it seems. And we need some more godforged pearls, which unfortunately we don't currently have. Okay, problem 95% solved. It's not a perfect solution, but it is the solution we're going with at the moment. So, shrink activated. Oh, we were already shrunk. For some reason, why did we look giant? Okay, we look normal size, kind of. But yeah, we're tiny right now. I shrunk the mana weave to only be the bottom 2 blocks, just so mobs can't fall through. And now we have an interdiction pylon. This has a slime mob filter in it. So, dreadful dirt can't spawn slimes. Very simple. Dreadful dirt won't spawn slimes, so we won't have an issue of slimes popping out the side of our mob farm when they get spawned by the dreadful dirt. Now, the reason why we put dreadful dirt back is because that is what gets us our pearls. We weren't ever going to get a godforged pearl otherwise. We need to use dreadful dirt because mobs spawned from spawners from Apotheosis, I'm pretty sure are whitelisted from dropping gems, which is fine, completely fine. However, in previous Apotheosis versions, versions, you were forced to make typically an end farm where you're going to have to kill multiple endermen in the end. And yeah, sure, you can make it very efficient and very fast, where you would have thousands of godforged pearls eventually with a quick setup in the end. However, Dreadful Dirt in the overworld, or in this case our private dimension, with the new way Control T works, so once we're at the pinnacle, we have a 25% chance to get mythic armor, which means we're never going to get the scrap or the uncommon scrap at this point. You could activate the lowest tier, right, to get common scrap if you really need it, but for us, this is just fine. Now, what the spawner platform will do is that will give us gems. What the Dreadful Dirt will do is it will give us it'll give us godforged pearls, which is what we're after. We are now getting godforged pearls. Now, what we want to do is place down the augmented table and the gem cutting table. If we make ourselves some sigils of enhancement with these, we can actually upgrade our affixes. So if I throw my helmet in here and take fortunate, I can upgrade it. 225 levels to do it, but now we have 4.25 luck, 4.75. Now it's not the best, right? Like, it's definitely not worth it to do this unless like it really matters. We are very strong, but that is the use of the augmenting table. I want my night vision back so we can actually see. There we go. Now we have a pretty nice sword, a pretty nice one. Nothing perfect because it's not enchanted yet, but it's a pretty good sword, I'd say. 25% current HP damage and 12 armor pierce is insane with a high crit chance. Now, if I want to make this even better, we can add gems. In this case, if I wanted to add this guy, I would get 8 fire damage. Not the best. This would give me 50% attack speed. That's really good. So in the case of light weapons, which is what we have here, that is what you're going to be looking for. So this has 12 armor pierce on a breach gem. So we're going to take that. 12 armor pierce is insane, but I'm just going to go through. 10 attack damage is probably what we're going to take. Cold damage, crit chance is pretty good. Doesn't give anything to us. This gives experience gained. We don't really care about experience. Our sword now is absolutely insane. If I just hop in here real quick and start hitting things, look at all of the drops we're getting. We're getting so many more drops, and that's because our luck chance is insane. And this is once again a completely unenchanted weapon. Completely unenchanted. Yeah, it's incredible. It's an incredible weapon. We could get some target dummies to test it out fully, but yeah, our weapon is now incredible. Now I will show this off. So if I am to take, for example, this flawed gem of the Splendor with gem dust and arcane seeds, as well as another flawed gem of the Splendor, I can upgrade it to a Splendor gem, and now it's no longer flawed. Now I would need another one to upgrade it again, and we could do the same thing with flawless gems. So if we take godforged, gem dust, and flawless, we can upgrade them to perfect. So it's very simple to use. Now mind you, we're getting perfect gems, so I'm not too worried about doing that manually, but in case you are only getting flawless gems or you need a specific perfect gem, that's how you would go about doing it. However, our weapon here still isn't enchanted, and we could get better enchants on our weapon. So we're going to work on enchantments now. Now I will say enchanting is pretty straightforward. If we look at the enchantment table, we have 0 turnup, 15% quanta, 0 arcana, and 1 enchanting clue. Now you can actually hover over this and it tells you what they do. So Eterna gives you max enchant level, quanta is randomness, and arcana gives you higher chance at rare enchants and also increases your enchant numbers. And then enchanting clues, depending on the bookshelf you give, will tell you what you have. So if we go ahead to enchant this sword, it says enchanting clues sharpness 1. However, realistically, we could get 3 of the enchants that we were going to get. Mind you, we're not going to be enchanting through the enchantment table. Whenever we get enchants, we're going to reforge them, or sorry, scrap them, throw them into an enchantment library, and then we're going to have infinite enchants that way. But for what it's worth, it will tell us what we're going to get. So what's really nice is the reason I wanted the prismarine here from the beach creeper specifically is to do bookshelves. Now you could do the nether route. If I go to Apotheosis Enchanting, there is both the hell shelf route and the sea shelf route. Both of them converge into deep shelves, and then that converges into the end shelves. But for now, we're going to get ourselves sea shelves because, well, we have that, and also this requires potions of regeneration, and I just truly can't be asked to brew potions, even though it's pretty simple. Pufferfish and water bottles are much easier to come by because I can just go like this. Oh, if I turn my magnet on, that might help. Yeah, we can just fill up our water bottle like this. Also, there's a platinum geode in this guy right there. That's where we got our platinum from. I never realized. I was so confused how we had platinum. You can get a platinum geode from this little section here. But yeah, water bottles aplenty. And pufferfish, we have fish essence from fishing. Very simple. So if we come over here, grab ourselves shows a few of these enchantment tables. Luckily, you don't need Silk Touch to break them, which is very useful. Now, if we look at our table, we have 45 of 100 Eterna and 48% Arcana, which means we can now enchant to level 45, which is cool. What that means is if we take a sea shelf, come over to our enchantment table, we can actually enchant it with the infusion enchant. So if we grab a stack of lapis, chuck that in there, we can infuse our sea shelf. Now, this might, I'm not sure if they fixed it, but back when I played all the mods 9, you were able to enchant something here, but it wasn't always infusion and it would fail. So just make sure if you're enchanting that always says infusion. However, if we look, this now gives us max level 60. These guys are max level 45. As you saw, we had 45 enchant levels. This guy's 5 Eterna versus 3, same with Arcana, and it gives us max level 60. So if we place these down, we're gonna need 2 of them down. We're gonna need 3 of them down, like so. And we can slowly but surely start replacing the enchantment tables, or enchantment blocks, sorry. And you don't need to enchant them all. Once you get to 60, you're fine. Now, to progress to the next stage of shelves, we're going to want to be able to enchant at level 70, which means we're going to need the deep shelf. Now, if you go into the deep shelf in the infusion enchanting section, you'll see it requires 60 Eterna, which we have, but it also requires at least 40% Arcana and 40% Quanta. We meet the Arcana, but we don't meet the Quanta, so we got to look up ways to get Quanta. You can do this all with seashells, by the way. So there are many ways to boost your Quanta. Now, the best way are hell shelves, by all means. Hell shelves give the most Quanta, but you can also get Quanta with crystalline sea shelves, and that's what we'll be doing. It's not the best method, but it is a method we will go with using sea shelves only. But once again, the best method is making infused hell shelves or blazing hell shelves for that matter. Now, I will mention you can make yourself a B shelf. This will, however, reduce your Eterna by 30. So I will show this off. If we make a B shelf like so and place this down, we have 60 Eterna, 15% Quanta, 63 Arcana. If we place this down, we now have 33 Eterna. So by all means, we can make this up by coming over here and placing down more sea shelves, right? So that would boost up our Eterna very simply. With this setup, with a random amount of infused sea shelves to get to 60 Eterna, as well as a B shelf, we can actually enchant at level, or we can enchant ourselves a deep shelf. So we got to make a dormant deep shelf to begin, which requires us to crack some deep slate bricks, because why not? Now, once again, this guy requires 60 Eterna and then 40% of the 2. I will say, once again, hell shelves are the best way to go about it, but you can also make crystalline sea shelves with your infused ones to get the Arcana, or the Quanta you need, sorry. And some people like having one of every bookshelf set up. I personally like just throwing them all to the wind and saying, I'm going to only have one. But sometimes you need multiple depending on what you're doing. I don't believe this mod pack requires you to have multiple. Like infused dragon breath requires something specific to make the end shelves, like a specific setup. But after that, you're pretty much fine to not have the setup anymore. I'm pretty sure. We'll make sure though. But yes, these guys, we'll make 17 of them, and we have 17. So what we can do with these guys is we can make soul touched, which will give us 75 max, right? Soul touch difference is it adds a bunch of Quanta while removing Arcana. We can also make the deep shelf of arcane treasures. It allows treasure enchantments. We can make the echoing one, which is the opposite of the soul touched. This one's 15% Quanta. This one's 15% Arcana. Also, this allows us to make the enchantment library. Any kind of enchanted shelf can make the enchantment library, by the way. But yes, those are the ones we're going to be using. Now, next type of progression through this is, as I was saying earlier, infused dragon breath. So it requires 80 Eterna. It requires 15 to 30 Quanta specifically, and at least 60 Arcana. So you have to get between 15 to 30 Quanta, 80 Eterna, and 60 Arcana. So that's our goal. Now, like I said, the B shelf gives you 100% Quanta, but the melon shelf reduces your Quanta by 10%. So if you're slightly over, say you have 34 Quanta, but if you remove a shelf, it'll drop that to 19 or something, right? Say the numbers are specifically where you need less, you need 10 minus. And I don't think this recipe specific will need this, but there are recipes where adding a melon shelf will fix your fix your problem. And say with the stone shelf, this removes 7.5 Arcana. This guy removes Quanta. So what we're going to do is we're going to make echoing deep shelves, and then with that, we're going to make echoing skulk shelves to give us 30% Quanta, right? So we need that Quanta. So this will give us nothing, but if we make an echoing skulk shelf, just the one, we can make this setup. Okay, for some reason, it is picking up those guys over there. No, this one's bugged. No, maybe it's not. Okay, why is it like this? That's bizarre. It's saying it has 70 Eterna. Okay, we're going to just keep placing shelves down and see what happens. So we want no Quanta. That's our goal. interval. We want no quanta, so we want some more echoing deep shelves. Okay, I'm not sure what's giving this 100% quanta, I'm gonna be honest. What if I just remove these bookshelves? Okay, for some reason it was reading those bookshelves over there. That I've never had happen. But you see our turn is up, our quanta is between the number we need and our arcana's well max, but we don't really care about the arcana. All we need to do is add a turn up, very simply, and we can use our infused bookshelves to do that. Oh, you know what? It was probably just the fact that we had the B shelf down. Probably could remove that and been fine, but here we go. A turn is 80, quanta is 25, arcana is 100. So that was achieved with one echoing skulk shelf, echoing deep shelves on the bottom layer, and then infused sea shelves on the top layer. Whatever gives you the attorney you need, just one echoing skulk shelf will get you there with the base level enchanting. If we take some Dragon's Breath, we get what we want. Now with infused Dragon Breath, we can upgrade to end shelves. This allows max level 90 Eterna. Then making a single draconic end shelf will allow you to get the max level Eterna you need, which is 100. That's the max. Very simply. This is how you get max level enchanting. This is our final bookshelf. If I place this down, we now have everything from over there. I don't know why it's reading that. It is very bizarre. But I guess we're just going to stay over there then, for what it's worth. That's what it wants to do, I guess. But yes, so now we have 100% Arcana, 25% Quanta, and Enchanting Clues. Now, if you want more Enchanting Clues, you can actually just make like a Soul Touch Skulk Shelf, for example, which we have an Echoing one, which also gives Enchanting Clues. So both work. But if we want to make one of these, two of them specifically, we can place these bottom blocks, and then we have 4 Enchanting Clues. So if I throw this in here, it shows what we're going to get. We're going to get Smite 7, Soulbound, Haunted 4, and Unbreaking 4. However, I want to make it fun. If I go ahead and replace all of my infused sea shelves with Pearlescent, I can get some real spiciness. This gives us a max enchant. Now there's multiple ways to get max enchanting, but this gives us 100, 100, 100, and 4 Enchanting Clues for fun. So if we throw this in here, cue the noise, we now have max level enchants. But that's not all I want to do. I want to make the Library of Alexandria. This guy requires you to have exactly 100 Eterna, 45 to 50 Quanta, in max Arcana. Now see, this is what I was talking about. You might need minus 10 for specific things like this. And we're going to get this down to 100% Quanta, or sorry, to 50% Quanta. And the easiest way to do that is, like I said, melon shelves. But what we're going to do first is remove our pearlescent end shelves, for what it's worth, and infused sea shelves will do the job. Now we have 100 Eterna, 100 Arcana, and 55 Quanta. What we need is 45 to 50. So a single melon shelf, we make some melons, cool. A single melon shelf will bring us down to exactly where we need to be, and we can infuse it. Now, what this guy does is it stores enchants. If I take our plethora of enchanted books and throw them in here, it stores them. Basically, the premise here is you enchant a thing like this, right? You take an anvil, you take your books, you throw it on the ground, you throw your books, and you drop an anvil. Then you throw them in. But yeah, you just sit here, enchant, get enchantments, take said enchantments, throw them into your thing, and then you just have them. And then if I want to make an Aqua Affinity Haunted Looting book, I can. I want more levels looting? Looting 4. Now in all reality, this was absolutely useless because we're never going to actually use our gear. We fought every boss in the game, outside I guess the Leviathan, for what it's worth, but we have the gear now, and that's what really matters. We don't need it, but we have it. Nevertheless, I do hope you guys enjoyed our delve into Apotheosis, Apothic Enchanting, and all of the likes. If you learned something, leave it in the comments below. If you'd like to tell me something about how I could have improved my setup, leave it down there as well. I always love reading your comments. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like on it. I really do appreciate it. And if you don't want to miss any future content or any other episodes, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.